Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over. Warning,
Guys, and welcome to Game Over Vancouver. I'm your host, Mark Sianquita. We had a game today. The Canucks played a game today. Wasn't the funnest of games, but it's games like these where, it gives us a lot to talk about, for sure. Before we start, I just wanted to give a shout out to our main sponsor for tonight, Hyperdrive Hockey. Check out the flagship show of our Game Over Network on the official Game Over Network channel. Hyperdrive Hockey is all things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Whatever it is and wherever it is, Max, Stephanie, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at thegameovernetwork.com. First and foremost, before we start off, I just want to say happy Diwali to everyone that celebrates. As someone that is born and raised in Surrey, and grew up with um, a lot of my friends, being Punjabi and East Indian. Um, it's always a really, really joyous uh, time to be in Surrey, especially with all of the fireworks that go off. But going on to the game, um, what we'll be adjusting today is essentially just going to be just a game recap. Nothing much more from that. The highs and lows, mainly lows, but there were a few highs, I think, personally. Um, Moving forward after that, though, we will talk about the power play, about how that does very much need to improve. Um, and after that, at the third period, I wanted to give a shout out, or not so much a shout out, but I wanted to put some attention to someone that I think, hopefully soon, but I think could possibly impact the Canucks team right now. So, right, so to recap the game, we played the New Jersey Devils, which, for one, the game was weird because it started at 7:30. And it was pretty late. So, like, we're starting. I'm starting this episode at 10:21, which, you know what, it is what it is. Um, and it was also Firefighters Night, which was honestly really, really nice to see. I didn't, cause I actually went to the Firefighters Night game last year, and I didn't actually know about Quinn Hughes' grandfather being a firefighter. So I thought that was real cool. I want a refund, Mark. Lol. I almost bought your ticket. I was actually thinking about buying your ticket, but it's a good thing I stayed home. uh, I can only imagine how dead it was in the arena itself. But you know what? Hey, we need games. We need games like this. We need games like this, and we need games like that one Minnesota Wild game last year during Family Day. But here to start off the recap, very very early on in the game, we had a typical bottom left Myers blunder. We had a face off in the opposing end. Unfortunately, Tyler Myers moved up a bit, ran into PD, and gave a very quick goal. Uh, People left in the second GG. Yeah, honestly, seats looked really empty. I like my sister was there too, actually, so that'll be a fun conversation when she gets home. But yeah, my sister was there too. Um, there's a lot of hype going into that game too, but yeah, I understand leaving in the second for sure. But yeah, anyways, we gave up a 2-on-1. New Jersey scored, and it was very reminiscent of the last game from 2 days ago where we lost in in overtime, but it didn't seem like we were able to gain any momentum at all. We got a double mayonnaise because of a high sticking bleed on Quinn Hughes. But even on that power play, we looked so lost. We didn't score at all on that 4 minute power play, and thankfully we look like, I will say, during the tail end of that first period, we did start to play the game. We were able to make plays in the opposing end. Passes were actually making it to other people's sticks. Um, the but sorry, I just choked on my own oxygen. But alas, we left the first period trailing 1-0. I genuinely thought we'd be able to catch up, but we just because we did start the period on the power play, but there was a goal during that power play. It just wasn't from us. JT Miller along the blue line, he got passes towards Quinn Hughes, but Quinn Hughes wasn't actually looking at the puck. He was battling with one of the New Jersey penalty killers. It did result in a second hand goal. It's not a second hand goal. Sorry, shorthanded goal. It's very sloppy, very very sloppy. We let another goal in after that, and honestly, it just went downhill from there. I think even though we did have a possible spark plug in a Connor Garland fight, he did lose the fight, but he did ignite the fans a little bit more. But I think like 3 minutes after that, we let in a fourth goal. I will say, to Seelovs' credit, a lot of the goals that we let through were not entirely his fault. Because at the end of the day, we did get shut out. We lost 6-0. There were, but I will say, a lot of those shots I did feel like both Seelovs and Lankinen would have saved. In terms of just being in position and being point blank. But you know what? At times like that, being down 4-0 in the second, we 100% needed to change some stuff up. And that change was to put Daniel Sprong and Jake DeBrusk on PP1, and that essentially ended up exactly how you would have thought of it to be. Third period, honestly, not much to talk about from the Canucks end except for some very, very sloppy play. Especially from Tyler Myers and Brandstrom. I think they were just caught by a very structured defense, I'd say, from New Jersey, and as soon as the break started, they just weren't able to catch up. Realistically, we lost the game 6-0. It was not a positive showing from the team at all, but I think, and I will say, I did talk about this with Kaja during our first stream, where we need games like this. We need losses to be able to fight through the adversity of being a quote unquote like bad team, because at the end of the day, the Canucks they're a good team. They have the players, they have the skill to be a good team and to win. But if you don't have the heart for it, then you don't really have anything to show for it, right? And one thing I will actually say as well, just to add insult to injury, Jack Hughes also scored on the power play. Even though we had almost double the power play time compared to New Jersey, the one team to score in the power play was Jack Hughes, with the New Jersey Devils. And watching that New Jersey power play, it was a lot more don't get me wrong, cycling the puck during the power play is nice, but you do need to shoot it, which is what New Jersey were able to do. And to, I guess, transition into the next period where I wanted to purely talk about the Canucks power play. I want to give a quick shout out to the overall Game Over Network. The Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community inclusion and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, you will find a link to our Patreon page, and we're also working on a page through LaRouche, a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we are aiming to raise 15K, and if we hit that goal, we will also gain access to government grants that will allow us to employ more people. If you have any ideas for what you would like to see as giveaways for supporting us as a company, please let us know on our social media. But yeah, so second period. 100% we need to improve our power play. It was honestly like this ever since last season. I think the one downside of the Tocchet coaching system is just getting shots on goal, honestly. On the power play. I don't get me wrong, I love seeing Quinn Hughes skate along the blue line. I do enjoy the Canucks when they're in sync, but tonight just wasn't those nights. And especially if the team already is struggling in a certain play style, if you put them on the power play and all you do is cycle around and you don't try to at least crash the net or play behind the net, then what are you doing? Like, there were so many times where, like, on the power play, we will only get one shot on goal. And that shot wouldn't even... Like, it would still be a shot, don't get me wrong, but, like, it would be a shot that would be a glove save, or it would be a shot that rebounds back off of the boards where the Canucks aren't even able to crash the net and get a rebound. I think, like, the Canucks do have some gritty players. That was a complaint of a big complaint of the team last year that I had, was that we didn't have that many players that were just down to get dirty. But thankfully, we signed Zdorov. But we have players that have the mentality down. We have players that enjoy playing like that. In terms of, like, gritty game where they are able to just fight in front of the net, and I feel like in terms of nights like these where we're just not feeling it in terms of being able to be the playmaking Canucks that we have grown to love. But it's a tough watch. And you know what? Granted, there are a few teams that are worse than us. Looking at, like, the stats before this game, we were 5 out of 25, so 20%. 17th in the league, which, I mean, like, you could look at it as, hey, we're better than the Flames, Oilers, and the Maple Leafs. But at the same time, if we're going to be a contending team, we can't just settle for being a mid-tier power play. You know, we have to at least take advantage of the opportunities that we have. I think the one thing that we're missing, in my opinion, is a Kuzmenko-like player that is able to just literally sit by the net, don't move out to the slot where you can possibly get a wrist shot, but you literally just stay at the net and just wait for a tip-in. Like someone like Zach Hyman, who has his entire career just shaped around that. It's annoying, but it works and it gets goals. But the Canucks power play needs to change. Thankfully, I don't have much to say about the Canucks penalty kill because it is one of our strong suits. I think one of two people that I thought played pretty well was Teddy Bluger, where on the PK he's able to at least, like, be, how do I say this? He's not noticeable on the PK in terms of mess ups, like Noah Jolson during a 5-on-5, but his sick ability on the PK, we just need that equivalent on the power play. Um, Also, I don't know if you guys look at hockey stat cards at all, but I was looking at the hockey stat cards for the Canucks game, and literally the only people that have positive outlooks are Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronik, and that's it. So, like you have, like in the bottom left, you have Tyler Myers, Eric Brandstrom, Carson Soucy, Noel Jolson, and if you have players that aren't performing to the standards of just an NHL defenseman, I think we're just gonna struggle. Which is why there is a player that hopefully, if he is able to grow his game, I think he could not only help the blue line but also help the power play. But moving on, I wanted to give a quick sponsor shout out one more time to the Game Over Network because we do have merch. So what better way to support something you love than by rocking it as clothing? Game Over's apparel has dropped with 3 unique designs. So whenever you feel the nostalgic pull of a retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, or you want to wear your love for goalies proudly with our Live and Die by the Goalie design, we have you covered. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sport media in Canada while repping your community. So I just want to give a quick spiel about one of the more underrated prospects that the Canucks have. Not unless you follow the Canucks while they draft. He hasn't really seen as much action in any of the prospect stuff over the summer. Mainly because he's currently playing in college. And unlike football, when you play in college, you're not getting paid. So as soon as you essentially have to stay in school the entire season, until you can get signed to a contract. But that player is Tom Verlander, or Tom Verlander, from what Patrick Elvine said at draft. So a quick background on him, to those who do not know. Actually, I wrote something down, but I feel like this is wrong. Let me just double check. No, it's right. Okay, so Tom Verlander was drafted in the 2023 NHL draft at 11th overall. As a player, he is known for his skating ability, two-way play, hockey IQ, and physicality in defense. And at that time, we were contrary to popular belief, we were struggling with right-handed defensemen. And at first, fans were kind of divided. We're kind of divided on that pick. But you know what? He was one of the best players that came to us, and it worked out well. Actually, you know what? Meet you, Matthew P. It's obvious the Canucks need the 4th Hughes brother. I think you were right. I think we just trade Petey for Jack Hughes. Who says no? Probably New Jersey, but it would be fun to have brothers again on this team. We've only had good success with brothers on this team. So thank you for the opinion. But anyways, so going back into Tom Verlander. So right now, in terms of his performance in the NCAA, so he plays for Boston College. He played with a prospect named Macklin Celebrini. Well, not much of a prospect anymore because he's starting for the San Jose Sharks. But right now, after 5 games, he has 5 points. So 2 goals, 3 assists in 5 games at Boston University, which is really good considering the fact that he's a defenseman. He was named Hockey East Defender of the Week in the first few weeks of his NCAA career. And just by watching his highlights, like, he is someone that can hold the line, play a great two-way game, but still have glimpses of, I was gonna say Quinn Hughes, but it might be a stretch, but like an Eric Brandstrom, where he's able to play the puck up, without, apologies, where he's able to play the puck out and um, be that playmaker for that BU team. He, as a player, he is from Sweden, and I think, the obvious Canucks Sweden connection is always there. Shout out to Thomas Gradin. But as a player, he actually opted to go to the NCAA versus staying in the Swedish Hockey League, to gain the physicality needed to play in the North American game, which is great. Like, if you look at the Sedins' growth when they were first starting off, their main complaint that scouts had towards them was that their bodies and their physicality just wasn't made for the NHL. It took them at least like 5 years before they were able to really hold their own. But Verlander knew this, and as a Canucks fan, and idolizing the Sedins, he knew that going to the NCAA would be great for his game. Yeah. So I think, like, as a young defenseman, I'm just glad that, like, looking at the defense that we have now, as much as we have, like, most notably one of the best defenders in the league, our defense still needs a lot of work. And having a player in our prospect pool that has high hockey IQ, and is able to play a two-way game while also being a right-handed defenseman, I think hopefully after the NCAA season is ended, I'm not too sure if he could play this season, but I'm very, very much excited to see his growth coming into next season. Yeah, that is all. I just want to move over into overtime. And if anyone in chat had any questions or anything that you guys want to discuss, now is the time. Oh, actually, if there aren't any questions right now, I did want to quickly talk about the Mark Friedman hits. If you guys don't know, so Mark Friedman, during the preseason, he cleared waivers, thankfully, and he was able to make it to the Abbotsford Canucks. But long story short, he got hit in the head really, really badly. For some reason, the player that hit him, so actually, his name is Montana Onyebuchi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He did not get a suspension, which was odd. But it was just a rough watch, I would say, especially because you never want to see someone get hit in the head. I'm just looking it up right now. Thankfully, it did look like he was released from the hospital. He's okay. So I'm reading it right now. Abbotsford Canucks defenseman Mark Friedman has been released from hospital and will continue to be evaluated by physicians, the team said Wednesday. Friedman was injured during the third period of Abbotsford's 3-0 win at home Tuesday against the Tucson Roadrunners. The 28-year-old from Toronto was skating through the slot of the offensive zone where he was hit in the head by Tucson's Montana Onyebuchi. Friedman, who remained on the ice, was taken away on a stretcher and transported to the hospital for evaluation. I think, and it's kind of ironic, Mr. Wilkins, I would say, that, like, I say this as a Canucks fan, right? Like, if you... I grew up idolizing Todd Bertuzzi, just to, like, give that example. So, obviously, the Todd Bertuzzi, Steve Moore hits, even though it was retaliation towards a Marcus Naslund concussion, it was still very much valid that he got a suspension because he ended someone's career. And hits like that towards, like, directly towards someone's head, they can be career ending. So I'm just upset that there was no suspension that actually happened towards him. But yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk about that. Um, but if there aren't any questions from chats, I just wanted to quickly say thank you once again for allowing me to talk about the Canucks. Even though the game today wasn't fun at all, I don't think anyone really enjoyed watching that game, especially the people at the arena. But what's it called? I am glad that to the few of you that came and showed up, thank you once again for being here. And that's all. Have a good day, guys.